All right, we are just under 3 weeks away from the NFL draft, and the tension and energy is starting to build. I can feel it in the air. Everybody's excited. Which one of these guys is going to be joining their team? Are they going to make their team better? And we've seen it before how one guy can flip the fate of a franchise. So I figured I'd go through. I'm going to give you my top 15 players coming out available in this draft. This isn't a mock. This isn't where I think they're going to get drafted, the first 15 players off the board. This is just my personal assessment based on watching the tape, watching college football throughout the years, where I think these guys rank as far as a prospect in this draft. But let's get to it. I'm going to start at the top for you guys. I think everybody knows who's the number one, might be the most hyped prospect we have seen in over a decade. Okay, number one, quarterback out of USC, Caleb Williams. Now, Williams is a little bit smaller for your prototypical quarterback build. He's only 6'1", 214, but he's stocky. He's got the built upper body, big, strong core. And Williams, man, what can you say about him? Little bit less productive 2023 than he had in his Heisman season in 2022. But man, the intangibles are there. We all see a future Patrick Mahomes. His ability to escape the pocket, create time, and look for the big plays downfield, that is Williams' MO. Now, maybe it hurts him a little bit because he won't take the easy check down throws. He is always looking for that home run play. But Williams has an excellent arm, elite accuracy, and an unbelievable ability to create space, a very good runner. He can scramble and pick it up, but he's always looking downfield. Now, Williams does get careless with the ball, but USC was just such an absolute train wreck this past season. His offensive line was terrible. His defense was atrocious, and he really didn't have any playmakers. So it felt like Williams was pressing the issue a little bit too much. I don't think we're going to have any of those concerns in the NFL, especially heading to a Chicago Bears who seem to be stable more than likely anything else. Now, if you want to talk about the off the field stuff, the crying in the stands, the fingernail paint, the pink iPhone, I'm with you. I don't love that. I don't love that for my franchise quarterback, but this could be the new type of generation of player. It's a new era. The old school football guys. I'm kind of an old school football guy at this point. Might be on the way out, but Williams clearly the best prospect we've seen since Andrew Luck at the quarterback position. Maybe he doesn't pan out, but I have a very, very strong suspicion he's going to be great. Number two, I got Ohio State wide receiver Marvin Harrison Jr., 6'3", 209, excellent speed, great route runner. He's a big physical specimen. He's probably the most finished product of any of the top wide receivers in this class, and this is an elite wide receiver class. Now, Marvin Harrison, day one, I think is going to step in and be a number one wide receiver for a team. He is just that gifted and that finished of a product. Now, is his high-end ceiling as good as other players out there? Maybe not, but I just think you need a solid guy. We've seen a franchise like Arizona get a Larry Fitzgerald, and that's who I kind of relate him to. Just super dependable, super reliable, is going to make the catches. He's going to get separation. He's going to create space. I mean, Ohio State really was under duress this season at the quarterback position. They didn't have a great quarterback. It didn't feel like they could get the ball to anybody else but him. Now, Harrison did struggle with contested catches a little bit this past season, but I maybe think that's because he drew so much of the attention and so much of the focus on the Ohio State offense that was really not quite that offense we've seen in years past. But if you look at what he did 2 years ago, paired with CJ Stroud, they almost took down the back-to-back national champion Georgia Bulldogs. He doesn't get hurt in that game. Maybe we have a different outcome. I think Harrison is going to follow in his dad's footsteps, a long NFL career, and probably a Hall of Fame one. I think it's as sure as a bet as you're ever going to have at the wide receiver position. So Marvin Harrison, number two. Number three, my second wide receiver. It was kind of close. I debated back and forth. I'm going with LSU wide receiver Malik Nabers, 6', 199. Nabers, an elite speed guy. He is an absolute burner. And at that size, he is big enough and strong enough to create separation, deal with press contact from the NFL DBs. He doesn't get knocked off his route very well. Now, he isn't completely a finished product. He does have to work on his route running a little bit. But man, I just see Tyreek Hill. It's screaming at me looking at him. Tyreek Hill, he's got that type of speed. And Tyreek Hill was not a finished product either. And Malik Nabers is a much better wide receiver prospect than Tyreek Hill was coming out. Developed his route running, worked on his hands, and we see what Tyreek Hill's doing. He's ruining the NFL. That's what I think Malik Neighbors can do. I want to say he could potentially be the best wide receiver in this class. I think he definitely has the highest ceiling. I just think his floor might be a little bit lower if he isn't able to work on those things, develop it. Maybe he does get bodied a little bit by NFL defenses and gets pushed off of routes and he isn't able to adjust that. But I think if he works on his footwork, able to adjust to the size and speed of the NFL game, I think the sky is the limit for Neighbors. We've seen this from LSU wide receivers before. They come out, they dominate this league. I mean, there's a long, long list of them. So I think it's very likely Neighbors is going to have a good system around him to figure this out. If you're willing to take the risk, I would draft Neighbors over Marvin Harrison, I think. But if you're looking for stability, if you're looking for plug and play right now, I think Neighbors is your number 2 guy. Really, really high upside from him at number 3. My number 4, quarterback out of North Carolina, Drake May, 6'4", 223, built like a tank. That is your NFL quarterback build you want to see. And I am a huge fan of May. I think he's a combination of Josh Allen and Justin Herbert's what we're saying. He's got Herbert's arm and Allen's big, stocky build, running ability. May, a sneaky good athlete. I think people are sleeping on that a little bit, but he has an NFL arm. His ability to layer throws against defenses, be able to change speeds, that's a huge, huge deal. He makes NFL throws. And look, he does miss some layups. That is a concerning sign. I think that's probably what's making him slide a little bit in this draft. But I think that's a product of North Carolina as a team wasn't very good this year. He had Tez Watkins for like a third of the season. He was their only real playmaker for them. The offensive line was bad. It was a simple offense. They really couldn't get anything going. It was just a bad team with North Carolina, but I think that trends well for NFL quarterbacks. Sometimes you have to struggle in college to become a very good NFL quarterback. You learn how to overcome adversity. And May is still young, still learning the game. He's like 3 years younger than some of the other quarterbacks out there, i.e. Jaden Daniels. He's a little bit younger. He has good college experience. He's under that 30 start threshold, which might concern you a little bit. I just think there's such a high ceiling for Drake May here. The sky is the limit. He could be a top 5 quarterback in this league. I think it's a guy worth taking the risk on, especially if you're the right team and can potentially sit him for a year, put a good system around him. I think it's an absolute home run type guy. I'm a huge Drake May fan. Number 5, offensive tackle out of Notre Dame, Joe Alt, my number 1 lineman in this class, 6'9", 321. He is your prototypical left tackle. Comes from good stock. His dad was a 2-time Pro Bowler with the Kansas City Chiefs. So he's got that NFL pedigree in him. He is your true left tackle build. He's got a great technical run blocking game to pair with an elite pass protection, big anchor, big strong hands, pretty good footwork overall for a guy that size, and his athleticism. He really showed out at the combine, showing how athletic he actually was. Good movement, good footwork. I think Joe Alt is a 10-year all-pro type left tackle, thinking Tyron Smith type of guy. Maybe he's a little bit too big, but I think the bigger you are, if you're athletic and you can play at that size, it's just an advantage for you. Now, people aren't sure if he's a little bit slow, but I think the combine cut down any of those worries for me. And honestly, I just value left tackles more than any other position. He's probably the only true, home run lock left tackle of my top tier offensive linemen. He's a left tackle. He's a plug and play guy. Somebody's going to be very, very happy for years to come with Joe Alt. Number 6, wide receiver out of Washington, Rome Odunze. I'm a big Rome Odunze fan. Like I said, I think any of these receivers would be a number 1 receiver in past draft classes. That's just how good they are. Odunze out of Washington, 6'3", 212, big, physical, and fast. Ran like a 4.4 at the combine. And when his skill set, his ball skills are just second to none. Any 50-50 ball you throw up is more like a 70-30 ball. Reminds me a lot of like a DeAndre Hopkins. Big, strong hands, very high contested catch rate this past season at Washington. Is a leader, was voted team captain, a fiery type guy, but not a diva. That's what you want to see out of your wide receivers. I love passion. You just can't be a diva, and we've seen so many diva wide receivers. But Rome Odunze was Michael Penix's go-to guy the past 2 seasons, and he showed why he's an NFL. Played big in the biggest stages, constantly making plays. If you can get him lined up one-on-one, it's a real problem for the defense. A very strong route runner. Like I said, a lot faster than most people think. I'm super high on Rome Odunze. I just think this wide receiver class is so great. There are some questions, maybe is he the purest route runner out there? Not quite, but he's able to create separation. And even if he doesn't, he can make those contested catches, which I think are a big plus for him. Needs a little bit of refining in his game. But like I said, any other year, he's a number 1 wide receiver. Number 7, tight end out of Georgia, Brock Bowers, 6'3" and a hulking 243. I'm a huge Brock Bowers guy. Once again, I love me some offense. I love me some skill position players. Brock Bowers is the best tight end in the country. He's probably been the best tight end in the country since he went to Georgia as a freshman. Absolute game record. Back-to-back winner of the best tight end award. He won 2 national championships as the number one option on those Bulldog teams. Obviously, a little bit of a down year this year. We missed a few weeks with an injury, but I don't think that's going to be a problem. He's the most complete, well-rounded tight end we've seen in a while, I think. His run blocking is almost as good as his pass catching and his route running. Elite at both of those. He's very much a Jason Witten tight end. Maybe not but I think he's faster. He's faster than Jason Witten was. But you're able to run right behind him. Kirby Smart's not going to have a tight end that isn't a gashing run blocking tight end. And a number 1 option. He proved he could be a number 1 option out there. He's a little bit smaller than your average tight end. 6'3" is still really good size, but you see some other tight ends, 6'4", 6'5". Maybe you want that, but he's an excellent red zone target. Big, strong hands. Ability to get open in short, congested spaces is second to none. Had 30-plus touchdowns while he was at Georgia. Number 1 tight end. I just think tight end is a position that's losing a little bit of value overall as far as concerned. Now, you do have the injuries working out. So I do think Brock Bowers is an excellent option at tight end. So at number 7, nothing to be ashamed of. Number 8, my first defensive player, linebacker, edge rusher, all-around game wrecker out of Alabama, Dallas Turner, 6'3", 247. Dallas Turner is by far my favorite defensive player in this draft. Game wrecker is the term I use. He can line up pretty much anywhere on the defense, has decent pass coverage ability if you force him out into coverage, but he really excels at stuffing the run and getting after the passer. Elite athleticism, the highest vertical jump out of all the linebackers at the combine. He is a freak athlete, this guy. I think it was plus 40, his vertical. And Alabama knows how to coach defensive players. Lived in opponents' backfields. He has great hands, great speed, great footwork. He's able to shed blocks and get off of them. Really good tackler, 100-plus tackles in the run game. So he's a complete, super well-rounded guy. Now, some people are concerned, is he a little bit kind of awkward out there? He's got good build. Is he too small to be a DN? Think Micah Parsons. Now, is he on that level of Micah Parsons? Probably not. I don't know. Or we saw Will Anderson. People were worried about Will Anderson last year, and he had a great rookie season. One Rookie of the Year. I think Dallas Turner is one of those freaky type hybrid game record guys, and defensive coordinators are going to be salivating to get their hands on this type of guy. Plug and play anywhere on the line, move him around, create mismatches, and he's going to take full advantage of them. Love Dallas Turner, number 1 defensive player at number 8. Okay, my second lineman out of Oregon State, Talisi Fuaga. He's a big up-and-comer, late, 6'6", 324, kind of rose up the stock at the Senior Bowl, very strong Senior Bowl, and he had an excellent combine. Showed off his speed, his athleticism, what he's able to do out there. Big, strong, physical talent. Now, he played right tackle most of his career in college. Some NFL people are projecting him at guard. I think he can play right tackle, though. He's got to work on his footwork a little bit. He can get caught up there, get sloppy in his run blocking. But as far as pass protection goes, he's solid. Anchor himself down, like I said, nice big frame, 6'6", 320 plus. He's a really good working offensive line. And Oregon State had, kind of a spread offense, mix and match. He was a grinder out there, good hands. He needs to work on the footwork, though. Maybe transition him into left or right guard if you want to. Like I said, I think he showed off enough. Strong combine, super athletic, was absolutely moving at the 40. Some people might say, what does that do for you? What does that help? I need guys to be athletic. If you're athletic, you're going to figure it out. You're going to be able to play football. So I'm a big fan of Fuaga. Second offensive lineman, just because he's more of a right tackle. He's a right tackle or a right guard, maybe a left guard, but I think more of that right side. And I just don't quite value that as much. But I think anybody who takes him is going to have a starting offensive lineman for the next 10 years. Like I said, he's a really, really strong guy. And some people have him higher than Joe Alt. I'm a big fan. Number 10, tackle out of Washington, Troy Fautanu, 6'4", 317, big build, played at left tackle, but I think he's projecting more as an interior offensive lineman. Now, he was excellent at pulls and screens moving to the second level. His run blocking was excellent at Washington. Not that they ran the ball a whole too much, but he was really good at moving out, screen plays, getting out into space, picking up defenders, not just getting caught up in the wash and not whiffing on guys. Now, he does have a tendency to lunge sometimes when he's run blocking. That is a problem. His real problem overall is his inconsistency in pass blocking. He doesn't have great footwork and he doesn't have great hands. He has a really good length at 34 length arms, but he can overset sometimes. He gets beat with slide moves. He has a really bad anchor overall. So I think left tackle is no shot in the NFL. Now, there is some potential upside with him. He has a big frame. He can put on more weight. Like I said, they like the 34-inch arms. Potentially, you can teach him how to pass block. I think either you got it or you don't when it comes to pass protection. You can get a little bit better. I think that's why he's projecting more as a guard, but I think there's a lot of upside here with this kind of player. He's my third offensive lineman. If you're getting a guy like this as your third offensive lineman, think Elijah Vera Tucker, Rashawn Slater stayed at tackle, but they're kind of these tweener guys are not so sure about. You move him inside. He's great in the run game. You get him out in space. You have him pulling. That's a big load going to blow up some D-end or some poor linebacker or, God forbid, some corner out there. God bless him. So I like Fautanu here at number 10. Number 11, cornerback out of Toledo, Quinion Mitchell, 6 foot 195. Your prototypical cornerback build, DB build in the NFL. He was an excellent, well-rounded guy. Another guy who was a big riser come Senior Bowl and the Combine. Really showed out his skill sets. And that's what you need to do when you play at some of them smaller schools like Toledo. You have to be able to ball out against higher level competition when you get it. Now, some people are a little worried about, playing at Toledo. How is that going to translate? You're going against lesser wide receiver competition. He's not seeing those Malik Neighbors every other day like you would in the SEC or anything like that. But honestly, we saw a guy like Sauce Gardner who translated great into the NFL. I think Mitchell potentially could be that kind of guy. He's a seasoned player. He's got a lot of experience at the cornerback position. I mean, teams would just flat out avoid him sometimes. Now, he does suit better in a zone defense than a man defense. He's got to work on his man coverage, but that's all stuff that you can easily coach up. It's a lot harder to teach a guy ball skills and zone coverage than it is to teach him man. He has good recovery ability. I think he's going to be the first corner off the board, probably. Maybe he won't. There's a couple other corners out there. They're also very tasty, but I think he's just going to be a solid overall guy, especially on your more zone-heavy, complex defenses we're going to see, and that's what a lot of teams like to run these days in the NFL. So Mitchell here at number 11. Number 12, pass rusher out of UCLA. Laiatu Latu, the big man out of UCLA, 6'5", 295, and boy, is he an athletic, physical freak at that size. Blazing quick speed, elite pass rushing moves. He can go inside, he can go outside, he can go power, he can go speed. He just knows how to get after the quarterback. Now, he does have some injury concerns, some injury history. That was a couple years ago, but it was a pretty serious neck injury. You don't love to see those kind of things on a guy. I think that's going to get some people a little apprehensive to draft him. Now, he is a pure pass rusher. He got to work on his run game. He's not great in run support overall, but if you just need a freak pass rusher, he is your kind of guy. Big, long, super athletic. He's got speed and strength. It's a lethal combination of the two. I think he's probably the highest upside potential of a draft defensive end prospect. I think he's got the highest ceiling, but I also think his floor could be bad. He gets the injuries again. It doesn't all sync up with him. It doesn't all connect, and he turns out to be a bust. I don't think he's going to be a bust, but I think Latu here, number 12, is where I'd feel comfortable ranking him. And if you're picking him at the 12 to 15 range, really, really fun guy to watch, and he's going to really make tackles' lives miserable. Number 13, lucky 13, quarterback out of LSU, Jaden Daniels, 6'4", 210. Now, he is as skinny as a rail. He weighed in at 210 at his pro day. He's probably playing at more like 185, 190. But Daniels, kind of a late riser, won the Heisman Trophy this past season. He spent 3 years at Arizona State, was kind of okay 2 years ago at LSU. He was good, but this past season lit it up from a stat standpoint. Now he beat up on bad teams and stuff, had a bad game against Florida State. He does need to work on his passing ability. I think he's a lot more prototypical Johnny Manziel type quarterback than he is a Lamar Jackson, but he is a freak athlete. We're talking high end athleticism. But when he moves, he scrambles out of the pocket. He's looking to make a play downfield, and he'll just take off though. He is a guy who will go out. It's not the design kind of run guy. It's just different. It's kind of hard to explain. You just kind of have to watch a guy run to understand it. But he will throw the ball downfield, but he has some inconsistencies, has some accuracy stuff, has a pretty decent arm to big arm, I think, overall. So he's not going to have a problem making NFL throws. I just think it's something he needs to work on. There is some concerns. He's 3 years older than some of these guys. He's an old cat. And it's hard to see that, especially since he played so much. You know, you think Joe Burrow didn't have that many playing on him. He was an older guy who kind of came on late, and we see how good he's been. But it's not like he had that playing time. I don't love what happened at Arizona State when he left with his teammates hating him and stuff like that. It doesn't seem like he had that issue at LSU, but it is a little bit of a concern. I'm just petrified of his frame. He is a reckless, abandoned runner. When he runs, he is looking to pick up the extra yards. He puts his head down. There's no running out of bounds for him. And you can't really teach that protection for guys like Lamar says it. He still takes big hits and stuff. We've seen him get nicked up. I think Daniels worries me at his size and his athleticism, because if that starts to go, I just don't think he's that elite of a passer, especially when it comes to an NFL type game. He has a lot of upside if he can get that figured out, if he can get out of bounds. But I am really scared about the health and durability of him with his mindset and with his size. Those are a bad combination. You can't run like Josh Allen and be built like Drew Brees, okay? Just doesn't work whatsoever. So Jaden Daniels here at 13. Number 14, my second cornerback out of Alabama, Terrion Arnold, 6 foot 189. Arnold has a wealth of attributes to put out there. Like I said, I'm a big fan of guys who go line up in the SEC and make big plays. Arnold was all over the place. He has lockdown ability. He was put on an island. Teams would just not throw at him most of the time. He was that kind of guy out there. Had a great season this past season. Kind of overtook the spotlight of his teammate Cooley McKinstry. He is just elite speed, elite athleticism, has great coverage skills, and great makeup ability. So if you do get past him, he is able to shut down the distance and make a play on the ball. Very good ball skills, 6 interceptions, a ton of pass breakups. You can't teach that. He has a nose for the football. He knows where to be and where to get his body to break up pass plays. That's great news if you're a guy in the NFL. Now, he does need some work on some of the more technical stuff out there. He's been coached very hard by Nick Saban, so I do trust him a lot. He is a little bit smaller. I'd like him to be a little bit bigger to get up in the run game, to get in that support, to make those tackles against bigger backs, faster guys like that. But if he can put on some weight on his frame, keep his amazing athleticism, I think Arnold's going to be another guy who could be a potential lockdown type corner for you, where teams just don't really want to run at him and don't really want to throw at him. Number 15, my final spot on the list, Jared Verse, pass rusher out of Florida State. 6'4", 254, big man, explosive guy. Now, Verse spent 3 years at Albany before transferring to Florida State, so he's a little bit older up there, but man, a pure pass rusher. I loved watching his tape out there. He's just so strong, fast, and physical with guys. He knows how to make plays. He exposes offensive linemen on the regular. Now, there is some concerns about his overall support in the run game. Like I said, that's kind of a problem we see with these pass rushers. Isn't the best run support guy, but he's able to adjust and make those kind of plays. I think he's another kind of freaky, talented, athletic guy. He is older, so maybe he's going to wear out a little bit quicker. He is limited in some of his moves, but another guy who played in big-time spots against big-time teams the last 2 seasons to show off his abilities, a strong, strong overall season for him. I like Jared Verse. I don't love Jared Verse, but here at 15, you're getting a very, very high valued guy, I think, that will be able to compete for a starting job when he comes in. Maybe it'll take him a little while to get in there, but overall, big fan of Verse. I like everybody on my top 15. That's why they're in my top 15. You gotta like them in there. But let me know what you guys think in the comments below. Who am I too high on? Who am I too low on? Am I leaving anybody off that you like? How you feel about the quarterbacks? Let me know what you guys think. If you haven't already, drop a quick like on this video. Hit that thumbs up. Subscribe to the channel if you're not already. Share this video with your friends. And I'll see y'all tomorrow.